Hello everyone, welcome to the Belt and Road face-to-face.
Enough water, and also just between sea level between 1,000 to 3,000. I think the climate and a lot of plantings in Pakistan.
From 2018 to 2019, Pakistan exported worth of 966 million rupees worth of honey.
Because there's too much burden, too much expenses for shipping, for feeding.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Belt and Road face-to-face. Our program is co-produced by China Economic Net and VSHTV Television. I'm Wang Xiaotong from China Economic Net. Today, I'm pleased to be joined in our studio by Zhou Rong, Senior Research Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies of Renmin University of China. And we also have Kamran Russell from Pakistan, who is Quality Manager at Volkswagen Group China. Let's enter the first part, Hotspot. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran has launched the Billion Honey Trees initiative with the hope of increasing the country's forest cover with a focus on honey production while creating new green jobs and boosting the country's economy. The project aims to produce 70,000 metric tons of honey by introducing modern beekeeping equipment, training on the latest techniques, standardization and product certification, and intensive marketing to generate revenue of around 43 billion rupees and create around 87,000 green jobs. Currently, an estimated 10,000 Pakistani beekeepers use 300,000 colonies to produce 7,500 metric tons of honey each year. Mr. Russell, what are the characteristics of the honey industry and what advantages does Pakistan have in this industry?
Pakistan is the fifth largest agriculture country in the world. But talking about the honey, there is a huge potential. From 2018 to 2019, Pakistan exported worth of 966 million rupees worth of honey, which is a fraction of the potential that Pakistan currently has to develop the honey industry. The reasons being that honey can be used in its pure form, which is honey, but also the surrounding elements of honey, such as the wax and the propolis and also the royal jelly. All of these materials can be used, including the bee venom, can be used for the scientific research as well as also for exporting to be used in medicines. So Pakistan has a lot of potential, being an agriculture country, to develop and also cooperate with China and increase the honey production.
I think one thing is this is a scientific system of honey industry is include first the supply, the first ring supply. The second ring is producing process of production. The third ring should be the products. The third ring is the channel to sell. So it's really a little bit complicated. So what we say is first we should just concentrating and then adding, then blending. A lot of things we need to do, especially brewing technology is very complicated. So need not only the common farmer to do that, needs the beekeeper, or we can say bee farmers with a special technology on that. So it's very hard. For Pakistan, the advantage is very obvious. We can subtropical climate in Pakistan, also enough water, and also just between sea level between 1,000 to 3,000. I think the climate and a lot of plantings in Pakistan. That's why Pakistan enjoy a lot of advantage for the bee industry.
So what are the challenges are faced by Pakistan's honey industry? How to overcome these difficulties?
Challenges for Pakistan beekeepers or the honey industry is that the beekeepers are actually quite limited by resources. In order to have potential for growth or the synergies to be explored, there is a need for the education on how to maximize the capacity or capability. The beekeepers or the farmers who are having the beehives are not very well educated, and they do not have the ability to do the research or development by themselves, and they also do not have the capability to process the honey in the right way, so that it can be sold to the international market as an end product. A lot of students come out of the agriculture industry. Very few of them go in the way to start their own sort of business or farming projects by themselves. But I think if more students coming out of the agriculture industry are given the opportunities to be an entrepreneurial farmer while using new research or technologies in order to improve production, would help the way for overall economic growth in this industry.
I think something about the Pakistan's climate. When the monsoon season comes, the rain just come very heavy,
yes,
and without stop. It just continues for a couple of days, which just wipe out all the colony of the beekeeper. This is one thing, the bee, you see. And also, usually your beekeeper are very poor people. They have to go through the middleman and to borrow something from that. They have to ship their colony one day after another from this place to that, you see. They are unable to afford that because there's too much burden, too much expenses for shipping, for feeding, for trying to find enough food to address the lackage, the lack of food, you see, for the bees, you see. So they give it up. They quit from the industry.
Yeah.
Then some other newcomer come, but newcomer does not have any technology. They just neglect the management. They do not know how to do the management. So later, the disaster comes, you see.
China is the largest consumer and producer of honey in the whole world. So what experience can China share?
China is China is the largest exporter and also the largest producer. One of the things what I support Prime Minister Imran Khan's idea is some of the farmers in China just use this way to make themselves rich. So this is something, as we say, the reduction of poverty and the elevation of poverty. This is a good way. But what we need to stress is not that whether we are determined to do something, whether we have a concrete measured how to just to maintain or even enhance the output by some scientific method, by using the high education, by high technology, make the bee value added.
In my opinion, the cooperation can begin with the bidirectional scholarship programs. So I see a lot of students coming from Pakistan to China, which is a very good thing for both Pakistan and China for development and cooperation between the universities. But there are less students coming from China to Pakistan, and also I would suggest that there should be more professors, like highly educated professors, and also professor like Professor Joe should be invited to Pakistan by the Pakistan universities for the education and for some special programs or university to university cooperation, which can uplift the synergies between the China and Pakistan focused on the agricultural industry. So not only for the beekeeping, but for improving the seeds of different agriculture products can be further explored. So in this way, the Pakistani students that are in the universities thinking about becoming an entrepreneur in their villages, in their respective villages, can actually go with wealth of knowledge that includes some products that can come out directly from the university labs, like the seed or some methods or processes for success, and then they can apply this theoretical knowledge practically into their villages, and eventually we will see some growth happening. So this is one way of cooperation that I would suggest. Chinese friends at the first time exposure to the Pakistani rice get very surprised by looking at the shape and the structure of the rice.
The basmati rice, I think first we need to do a lot of publicity.
So it takes time for the Chinese consumers or Chinese people to get attracted to something new.
We are still the largest importer of Pakistan's rice, but mostly are non-basmati.
Attract the Pakistani rice exporters.
You are watching the Belt and Road face-to-face. Let's enter the second part figure. According to the data of the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics, during the month of November 2020, exports of basmati rice grew by 36.06%, as about 78,160 metric tons of the above-mentioned commodity worth $76.583 million exported, as compared to the exports of 71,054 metric tons, valuing $56.288 million of the same period last year. Meanwhile, rice exports from Pakistan registered about 14.44% growth as compared to the exports of the corresponding month of last year. The country earned $231.238 million by exporting about 458,104 metric tons of rice, as against the exports of 452,010 metric tons, 202.065 million tons of the same months of last year. During Kharif season 2020 to 2021, local rice output witnessed about 11.43% growth, as over 8.18 million tons of rice produced during the season by cultivating the crop over 3.3 million hectares. Mr. Russell, what are the unique charms of Pakistani basmati rice?
There are many, but the first one is the one you notice at the very beginning, is when you open the bag of the rice. If you order one and you will get the basmati rice, you will see that these are looking very long and very thin and very white in color. The second unique aspect is that once you start cooking it, and when the rice is boiling to where the point where it starts to settle down, and if you're sitting in the living room and the kitchen is just beside the living room, you can notice a very strong, amazing aroma, the smell of the rice, that makes you feel very happy and hungry right away. And the third aspect of the rice is that it is very rich in nutrients.
So why does the export of basmati rice remain so high?
It's because it's very much liked across the globe, and Pakistan is exporting to many different countries. Many of the world's 5-star hotels, they buy the Pakistani rice to serve in all of their special cuisines, which include the rice. But unfortunately still not very popular among the Chinese consumer buyers, because probably not a single company either from China or Pakistan has ever tried to present it to the Chinese market.
I'm sure in the future Chinese people will enjoy eating that. Let's say something.
So
Why basmati is a very good one. First, the quality is much better. Let's say the water comes from Himalaya. Number two, the nutrition is very good. That basmati is very good for our stomach. Most of the export of Pakistan's basmati rice just goes to the Gulf country.
What are the major countries that import basmati rice from Pakistan?
The major countries would be the Saudi Arab, United Arab Emirates in the Gulf region, and then Malaysia, because basmati rice is very much popular within the Asia. And Pakistan, as being an East Asian country, is exporting to many of the Asian countries. But the Gulf countries are the bigger shareholder in importing Pakistani rice to their countries. But not only that, Pakistan also exports rice to the rest of the world, including the Latin America or American regions, including US and Canada, UK, and so on. But yeah, the Gulf countries are the major ones.
Yeah, how about China? As you are living in China, based on your experience, how do your Chinese friends like basmati rice?
So my Chinese friends at the first time exposure to the Pakistani rice get very surprised by looking at the shape and the structure of the rice, and it does not attract them too much at the very first glance, because when they see the very long grain of rice, they get surprised, and they are very much attached to their Chinese rice, which is very chewy and kind of like very thick and fat. So they love their Chinese rice, but when they smell and taste the Pakistani rice, they have got like really mixed feelings, and then they start asking me questions: where can I buy it? How can I get it? So from these responses, I can tell them I can say confidently that they like the rice, but they are not 100% committed to really buy it, because it's just like, first time when you are exposed to something new, you get intrigued and interested in it, but then after some time you might also forget it. But again, until again you see it next time again, and then the curiosity continues. So it takes time for the Chinese consumers or Chinese people to get attracted to something new. So it means it's not difficult to target the Chinese buyers.
Ms. Joe, we cannot find so much basmati rice in China's market. What is the reason behind it?
Basmati rice, I think first we need to do a lot of publicity, because people in China do not know basmati. We just call that basmati, dami. People do not have an idea. So basmati rice is not very popular in China. And the second and also a very important thing is about the facial sanitary. So in China, when we import something, so a lot of Chinese customers, you see, have to just have the strict standards, especially for Indian basmati rice, you see. So a lot of Indian basmati cannot go through Chinese custom. We import a lot of basmati rice from Pakistan recently. Right now, we are still the largest importer of Pakistan's rice, but mostly are non-basmati. For Pakistan, the tariff rate for the rice is about 65%, and for ASEAN countries, much lower, about 20+% or something like that. For that cannot stimulate Pakistan's basmati exporters to export more high quality basmati rice to China. So that can be solved through some bilateral friendly negotiation and the talks and the consultation or something like that, which should be done very quickly. And also that is like a beekeeper. So we should think more about which area China and Pakistan can have a concrete cooperation, not to say something like higher, deeper, sweeter, and harder, something like that.
Pakistan and China have been doing a lot of cooperation related to rice production. Do the rice processing and import-export trade also have the potential?
China and Pakistan has done many projects together since many decades, which has proven that both countries have a history of very good cooperation. And also for the rice, I would say the point that Professor Joe has mentioned is a very good point regarding the tariff. That can be, one foundation or one method to, attract the Pakistani rice exporters, and then definitely there is a possibility that once we have a company or a number of companies promoting the Pakistani rice in China market, it can explode really on a very big level because China's market is really huge, really big. And I think both the countries should go ahead and cooperate in this area.
Right now, people like to say there should be a cooperation between China and Pakistan, but we should pinpoint some concrete sectors, which sector is much more mature for the cooperation. And also, just for basmati. So basmati, we all know that the basmati is very popular in Gulf country, yet should be popular in Southeast Asian country as well as China and Japan and Korea. But one thing, can we update basmati's what we say seeds and the quality in the future? If we just brown basmati, not traditional one, but new one, which let both China, Gulf country, and South Asia, Southeast Asia all enjoy that, we can just produce new seeds and new brown.
Let's say a good size lab that can scale up to the needs of today's requirements.
He became very famous because he made all the farmers that he touched rich.
Called like hybrid seeds, and that can be very useful for increasing the scale of production.
To work, to eat, to live together with a Pakistan farmer. Of course, you can just see some of the farmers you like.
Based on their requirements, and they have their own teams of farmers working for them.
You are watching the Belt and Road Face-to-Face. Let's enter the third part, culture. University of Agriculture of Faisalabad will set up a learning and coaching center and a model farm where students and farmers would be imparted training about the use of modern technology for agriculture. Spreading over 12 acres, the learning and coaching center and model farm would be set up under academia-industry linkages, which would showcase new technologies and also provide practical training to students and farmers about modern trends and precision agriculture from seed preparation to crop harvest. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Tanvir said, academia-industry linkages are essential to meet the changing demands of the modern world. He added that universities around the world work together with industries to introduce innovations and new trends with research and development. Universities and industries are combined together to provide advanced agricultural technologies to the farmers. What will it bring to the agriculture production?
Pakistan has the agricultural universities, definitely, and I also mentioned it earlier that majority of the students that are coming out of from those universities, very few of them are going in an entrepreneurial direction and to improve the agricultural innovation, or like creating hybrid seeds. This requires not just only a theoretical knowledge, but also a research institute to be set up within the university, like let's say a good size lab that can scale up to the needs of today's requirements. Let's say our today's requirement is to increase the production and improve the quality so that we can, as a fifth largest agriculture country, be able to export more to China and also to many other countries. And so far, I really appreciate all the scholarship programs from the Chinese government also, and the efforts that Pakistani government is taking in empowering those universities. But one more idea would be to explore the possibility if China could set up a university of agriculture in Pakistan for both Chinese and Pakistani students, where the traditions and the technologies can merge, and the new methods can be explored. So this and definitely if China sets up a university, I'm pretty sure that we'll have a very good laboratory and a research institute inside the university, which will attract more students from Pakistan and also maybe from China as well. And this will bring more cooperation and very fast rollout of agricultural innovation in Pakistan.
One thing I would like to stress here, There's a Chinese professor, Professor Li, who used to stay in Hebei University. Hebei is not very far from here. I think he worked for 20 or 25 years, just in work for one village after another. He became very famous because he made all the farmers that he touched rich, get rich, you see. But of course, he died of cancer or something like that. He's a hero, and also not only President Xi Jinping, but all the Chinese government, Chinese people love him. What I'm concerned here is Pakistan needs some specialists, not volunteer, for something like tsunami, like floods, like drought, like earthquake. That's not enough. That's volunteer for the simple labor work. What we need is a specialist, need to be the volunteer, just work for the cause of Pakistan agricultural development. So you see, Professor Li did not just enjoy a lot of fame, all that you see, but all what he did is contribute his life, devote his life to Hebei agricultural development. Make a lot of people just only plant fruit trees and plant rice and what we see flour. You see, make themselves rich. You see. A lot of example, but here you see, as I just mentioned above, you see, I really hope our Pakistani agricultural graduates don't think about whether one day I can become a professor. This is not important. Whether you can do something to enhance Pakistan's agricultural development, to make Pakistan agriculture to be the first class one in the world. If you are determined to do that, do some concrete job in the future, you will become what we say that is not only the famous, well-known professor, but the professor people love that. So I encourage our Pakistani students who are learning Chinese in Chinese agriculture university, just want to go back to Pakistan to work, to eat, to live together with a Pakistan farmer. Of course, you can just see some of the farmers you like. You don't have to just go to the place you don't, you see. But anyway, this will do a lot of good, you see, like the fact finding and use your food just to learn more knowledge.
When it comes to agricultural education, what strengths do China and Pakistan respectively have?
China has a lot of innovative learnings from the history. China has shifted from the traditional farming to a very advanced level of farming where new technologies are used, such as drip irrigation and so on. And also the seeds, China has done enough research on creating the seeds that are called like hybrid seeds, and that can be very useful for increasing the scale of production. And then not only that, China also has experience in processing the food or the end products such as vegetation or the plants, and as well as the fruits that can be processed in a way that is easily marketable. And then also the last phase of this is logistics, which involve packaging and then transferring the products to the end points effectively. So the end-to-end experience that China has from the beginning till the time when the product gets to the customer's hands is very systematic and efficient. However, in Pakistan, farmers are still doing their plantation and irrigation, so that limits their capacity to produce more. There are Gulf countries that like Saudi Arabia and Dubai that have also set a very good example, but that from which we can learn. They have bought entire lands and really big sizes of lands where they are doing plantation and vegetation based on their requirements, and they have their own teams of farmers working for them and providing very high quality produced that is as soon as it comes, it is shifted to Saudi Arabia and Gulf countries via chartered planes.
Online education and the cloud classroom will be very popular between Pakistan and China, and we can through TV we can just also like something like face-to-face communication and conversation. This is maybe the best way to reduce the cost expenses, you see, and also just to sufficiently just strengthen the communication. Make it cloud classroom, okay, we can say online communication more and more popular and routine.
Thank you for watching the Belt and Road Face to Face, and thank you too for coming to our show today. See you next time.